So I notice when I'm making the videos now, I'm having to get a little more deeper because I just can't help it. And especially since we're starting this Semen Retention group that we're going to do September 10. I somehow find myself, I'm wanting to upload these videos to only try to reach those who really resonate, because we want to try to be on a higher level. I can't really work with the more mundane, superficial level. So this is why I feel like these videos might help to weed out some of that. Because I'd rather just have, I'd rather have nobody than a bunch of people who we can't really tune. And because it's like, what are we doing? You can't just talk about superficial stuff. So we're talking about destiny here. And to make it simple, and it might help if you're interested in this subject to go see my other channel, Spiritual Renaissance, because then I get really more into it, because that's all that channel's about. But if we're talking about destiny, if I simplify it, I'm saying, let's say there's two levels of destiny. Everything's destiny on a broader level. But for practical purposes, let's say there's two destinies. There's your lower level destiny and higher level destiny. Lower level destiny, let's say it's comprised mostly of just trying to pursue sense pleasures and get sense objects and get dopamine hits and feel like a strong sense of excitement, in the world, and enjoying all worldly things, etc. Girls and money and, fame and everything. Okay. And then let's say a higher level of destiny is undoing all that and realizing that those things aren't really, it's not the highest thing, because they don't satisfy you in the end. You're going to be empty every time. Anytime you get the new thing that you thought was going to make you happy, the new girl, the new job, the new situation, at some point that's going to wear off, and then you're going to be chasing after the next thing. And most people live their whole life next. Why? Because everything keeps wearing off. Is there anything that actually gives real satiation, inner contentment? Yeah, there is. I talk more about that in the spiritual channel, but it's like everything's backwards. It's a paradox. When you realize and stop pursuing everything, then you realize, wow, what I'm looking for is right here, actually. God, you're a joker. If the mind hears what I just said, though, it doesn't understand what I said. This is an intuitive understanding, because the mind will hear what I just said and say and tell people, like, yeah, I heard this guy talk. He's saying, like, you don't do nothing. You just sit here on the rock or out in the woods. They'll make fun of me. Like, yeah, he just sits in the woods all day. Says there's nothing to do. And see, I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is you realize none of these things are actually going to give you the satisfaction that your inner being's craving, but you still do them because it's part of the play in the game, and you're playing the role as a human being, and you have a certain function to fulfill. That's higher destiny, though, and here's what makes all the difference in the world. You'll still look like everybody else. You'll still be doing similar things as them, using the same language, but you've seen through the veil. You know now that those things aren't really going to give you any kind of deep satisfaction. You're doing them because you're flowing with the life force, and it wants you to do them. It's not personal. And when you're surrendered like that, you'll end up finding your real destiny. There's some people they've spent 8 years in school, going to medical school, and then graduated and realized, man, I don't want to do this. And then they end up maybe teaching school. Or they go to India and volunteer as a doctor. They have a bunch of money already. They don't want to charge. Their whole emphasis shifted because somehow they realized, like, their projections and ideas and dreams they had about doing this certain thing, it wasn't real. So then when you give that up, then your higher destiny, life force, can guide you to what that really is. We can't find our real destiny when we're still trapped in human, ego type thinking, because it's going to be corrupted. We're going to think, oh no, a highest destiny, like me in the past, I wanted to be an actor. And I just swore to you, God wants me to be an actor, because it felt like it was the passion to be an actor was so strong. The passion was coming from ego mind, though. That's fine. I had to go through that experience. Otherwise, I couldn't sit here today and tell you the difference. But I'm just saying, I can look now in retrospect and see the difference. That was ego driven. Now, that's an example of lower level destiny. What's an example of higher level destiny? Doing what I'm doing now. This is higher level destiny. That couldn't be revealed until I did the lower level destiny, though. Otherwise, if I would have been making these videos prematurely, back then, for example, I would have been doing it to try to get praise, to try to get, girls maybe. I don't know how I can get girls talking on this channel, but I would have done something. I'd have turned it into a business somehow. Here, buy these courses and learn how to do semen retention. You'll never fail. You see? So when you do semen retention, I don't think I've mentioned that word the whole video. And this is the beginning, one of the strongest tools you can do that's going to start activate this delusion breaker. Because the sexual instinct is one of the strongest delusional forces that we have to face as human beings. With the lust and the trying to get attraction from girls, and that just feeds our low self-esteem and already existing insecurity. When we start doing semen retention, we start to build ourselves up from the ground up, which is why it gets painful, which is why most people quit and won't do it. It's like, where are the people at that are like 40, 50, 60 years old? Why don't they share about semen retention? There's like a handful of people. There's hardly any of them. Everybody's like 20, 30. Like, what happened? I think they quit. Yeah, I don't know. It's strange. So, you do semen retention, you start to take back your life. And now, this inner resistance and opposing forces are going to fight you like in the movie when you're outnumbered. It's like 2 against 100 or something. That's how it's going to feel. And it's going to get heavy. And your mind's going to start coming up with things saying like, oh, I'm doing something wrong, or I can't, my equipment's not going to work anymore. I mean, there's a million excuses your mind can tell you to throw you off the trail. Yeah, that's what happens. But if one really wants to come into their deepest, truest nature and have their true destiny unfold, you got to go through this. When you start to master the sexual instinct, everything else just becomes easier. It just it works. The ojas in the the energy, the subtle essence of the semen, that just starts to max out everything, physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. You get a higher upgrade. That ojas gives you a higher upgrade. You're used to operating your Windows obsolete CPU. You start preserving ojas kicks that and installs the Mac M2 chip. That's what happens. And then these things become natural. You don't have to go learn them. How are you going to read? What are you going to do? Like learn this in a book and then somehow think because you read it that now you know it? It doesn't work like that. You already know this, but you have to access this knowledge. This knowledge can't get accessed, though, when we're living a lifestyle that's full of ego and chasing sense pleasures. How are you going to access it? You're focused on that. You're focused on fulfilling your senses and chasing objects. What's the saying? Where your attention flows, there you go. Something. That's where you're going. You're going into this ego-created world that the mainstream is totally sucked into. So you're not going to be aware of this hidden inner library of knowledge inside you because you're not giving any attention to it. So I'm not a proponent of being, I don't know how people can, I do know because this is how strong the mind is. They're like, sometimes like, whoa, they just think like you just become a monk or you don't do nothing. I keep saying over and over and over, that's not what's happening. You do everything, but your motives behind doing it has shifted. That's what I'm saying. You still go to the beach, but you're tuned more to the vibration of the beach instead of tuned to like how the girls look and are they looking at you and all the lustful stuff. You're wearing different glasses is what happens. You still go do whatever you're doing. All right, that's my message. I'll see you.